Coming up today on Good Morning BU.
A PhD student at Tufts University is arrested by immigration officials.
And public health programs across New England are hit with another wave of federal funding cuts.
See how BU students are helping design a new unit for incarcerated individuals.
And the women's lacrosse team takes to the field for their spring season.
And the first all-female flight crew since 1963 is taking to space this spring.
Live from Studio West in the College of Communication, Good Morning BU starts right now. Hello and welcome to Good Morning BU. I'm Sophia Falbo.
And I'm Sydney Toff. Here are today's top stories. An attorney for the Tufts University student who was arrested on Tuesday alleges that immigration officials are, quote, stalking Muslim students during Ramadan. The allegation comes as U.S. senators and House representatives wrote to Homeland Security and ICE officials this morning to call for the PhD student's release. Ramesa Ozturk was taken into federal custody on Tuesday by plainclothes immigration officers and had her student visa revoked. Surveillance footage of the incident has achieved mass circulation on social media, showing DHS agents surrounding and handcuffing Ozturk before forcing her into an unmasked car. In a post on X, authorities stated she, quote, engaged in activities in support of Hamas, though Homeland Security did not provide any evidence to show how she allegedly supported the group. Ozturk last year co-authored an op-ed in Tufts student newspaper criticizing Israel's actions in Gaza. The Trump administration has not charged Ozturk with any crimes yet. Secretary of State Marco Rubio backed the administration's crackdown on international students like Ozturk.
We're just not going to have it. So we'll revoke your visa, and once your visa is revoked, you're illegally in the country and you have to leave.
Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell referred to the incident as, quote, disturbing in a recent statement, while Tufts school leaders reiterated their solidarity with Muslim students. Ozturk is currently being detained in a detention center in Louisiana.
In more breaking news, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services will cut 10,000 jobs across 4 different agencies. The firings will include 3,500 employees in the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and 2,400 employees in the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. These cuts will happen under the direction of U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. He says he hopes to reduce chronic illness while relieving taxpayers.
Aligning HHS is part of a shift to new priorities, especially ending the chronic disease epidemic with clean water, safe food, effective medicine, good science, radical transparency, and a healthy environment.
However, these cuts have been scrutinized for undermining the HHS's capacity to serve Americans at both the national and local levels. Services like Medicaid and Medicare could be at risk, along with funding for public health research initiatives.
At least 6 people are dead and nearly 24 are injured after a tourism submarine sunk in the Red Sea on Thursday. The vessel, owned by a private tourism company, was carrying 45 individuals when it hit a reef less than a mile off the coast of the Egyptian city. All 6 who died were Russian nationals, including 2 children. Local authorities are investigating the cause of the accident, and Russian investigators have launched a criminal probe into the accident.
The Atlantic published the complete signal chat messages showing the military's plans about the U.S. strikes in Yemen earlier this month. The messages detailed military attack plans and were sent in a group chat, which included the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldsberg. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz took accountability for the incident and says he doesn't know how Goldsberg got into the chat.
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated. So the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
Who
guy.
was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
Trump administration officials said no classified information was shared in the chat and tried to downplay the magazine's first report on the Signal thread.
In more news from the White House, President Donald Trump imposed a 25% tax on all cars imported into the United States on Wednesday. The tariff aims to expand auto manufacturing in the United States. This will be a tax on both imported cars and imported car parts. The tariff is set to take effect on April 3rd at 12:01 Eastern Standard Time. The ongoing trade war also includes China, where Trump initially placed a 10% tax on. This month, Trump placed an additional 20% tax on all imported goods from China. On Wednesday, Trump also offered to lower the tariffs on China in exchange for a permanent ban and on the ban to TikTok.
In more executive news, Trump set a record this week of 100 executive orders. This comes more than a month before his 100th day in office. He signed one that would require voters to bring proof of U.S. citizenship to the polls in order to vote. Voting rights advocates worry that this will deter naturalized citizens from voting due to old databases that could label them as non-citizens. In another executive order signed this week, the Trump administration also plans to end funding to Gavi, an organization that purchases vaccines for children in developing countries. It's estimated that this program has saved 19 million lives since 2000. Gavi estimates that these budget cuts could result in 75 million children not receiving vaccines in the next 5 years, with more than 1 million deaths.
The CEO from PBS and NPR appeared before a House subcommittee on government efficiency on Wednesday to defend public broadcasting. Lawmakers like Republican Representative from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, claimed the broadcasters of political biases.
The Corporation for Public Broadcasting is using taxpayer dollars to actively suppress the truth, suppress diverse viewpoints, and produce some of the most outlandish, ludicrous content.
Greene argues there should be funding cuts to all public broadcasting. NPR, though, argues that public broadcasting is occasionally the only source of news and emergency broadcasts in some parts of the country. Ullman of Alaska Public Media said that they provide potentially life-saving warnings and alerts crucial to Alaska's facing extreme weather threats. For many children and adults in rural areas, PBS and NPR are their only connection to the rest of America. NPR's president testified that a new poll found that 60% of all Americans and more than half of Republicans trust PBS to deliver fact-based news.
The U.S. Supreme Court voted to uphold a Biden-era federal regulation banning ghost guns. In a 7-2 ruling, 4 conservative justices sided with the liberal justices. Neil Gorsuch wrote for the majority, arguing that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF, was within its authority to regulate ghost guns under the 1968 Gun Control Act. Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito dissented the decision. These weapons come from what many call build-your-own gun kits, where distributors will ship a customer parts to build the weapon. These parts can then be used without government registration. Ghost guns became an increasing problem for law enforcement in 2022, when they were found again and again at crime scenes. Since the guns had no serial numbers, they couldn't be traced back to their handlers. It was in that year that Biden forbade their sale.
Vice President J.D. Vance is en route to Greenland today. This trip comes just weeks after President Donald Trump said the U.S. should acquire Greenland. Vance said in an online video that the U.S. government wants to, quote, reinvigorate the security of the people of Greenland. Denmark governs Greenland, and the country's leaders have not been happy with Trump's statements. Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said the U.S. and VP Vance's trip are putting unacceptable pressure on Denmark and Greenland. Vance and his wife, Usha Vance, will be visiting the Pitufik Space Base, a change from the Second Lady's initial announcement that she would be visiting a dog sled race in Simmut. The Danish government said on Facebook on Monday that they had not invited VP Vance either privately or publicly. And on the topic of invites, you are all invited to join us again after this short break.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. The Trump administration is trying to reclaim more than $100 million in federal grant money from New England public health programs. Attorney General Peter Nerina of Rhode Island, where the cuts were first reported, says he plans to fight the recession. The Boston Public Health Commission reported losing 2 grants, both of which support emergency response, paramedic prep, mental health services, and vaccine outreach.
Moving slightly north, the U.S. and Canada are in the midst of a messy fight. Tensions escalated when President Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian goods. Canada's response of their own tariff threats started a back-and-forth trade war. Most recently, the U.S. has limited Canadian access to a library on the Vermont-Canadian border. Canadians used to be allowed to enter the Haskell Free Library and Opera House without going through customs. This unique situation has long symbolized a friendship between the U.S. and Canada, as visitors could freely mingle inside. Because of the regulation, the library will need to build a new entrance, costing at least $100,000. A spokesperson for U.S. Customs and Border Protection says the change is in part of their goal towards 100% border security.
Moving to Massachusetts, hundreds of Harvard professors are pushing back against what they call federal attacks on higher education. More than 600 faculty members signed a letter urging Harvard's leadership to resist what they describe as government overreach, including funding threats and investigations targeting universities nationwide. Columbia University has already complied with federal demands following accusations that it mishandled campus protests and failed to address anti-Semitism. Harvard faculty members warn that giving in to political pressure could jeopardize academic freedom at American universities.
In an update to a story that we've been covering, authorities in Belize confirmed on Wednesday that the 3 Revere women found dead in Belize hotel room last month died of carbon monoxide poisoning. Belize Forensic Director Gyan Cho says the women were fatally exposed after carbon monoxide allegedly leaked from a gas-powered water heater. Test results also showed that the women did not have illicit drugs in their systems, despite early reports of gummies found in their hotel room when they were discovered on February 22nd. The families of the victims are now awaiting results from a separate review being conducted by the Massachusetts authorities.
In other medical news, a person with a confirmed measles infection rode on an Amtrak train coming from Boston's South Station on March 19th. The possible exposure happened at the Amtrak Northeast Regional 175 train, headed southbound between 7:30 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. Boston is one of 3 places that people were possibly exposed. The D.C. Department of Health says it's working to identify people at Boston's South Station who are at risk of contracting measles.
The national debate over immigration and public safety has taken a center stage for a comedy show. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu took to the Daily Show podcast with host Ronnie Cheng, where she says that Boston is the safest major city in the country.
If people are afraid to drop their kids off at school or call 911 when they need help or share information when they actually have information to report about a crime that happened, that makes everyone less safe, whether or not you are an immigrant.
Wu attributed the city's safety to its immigrant-friendly policies, arguing that trust between residents and law enforcement makes communities safer. She dismissed criticism of sanctuary cities as based on false narratives and highlighted immigrants' contributions to Boston's economy and public services.
Staying right here in Boston, the newest franchise in Boston professional sports just got renamed. Say hello to Boston Legacy FC, the newest team in the National Women's Soccer League, making its debut next year. The team's renaming is because fans didn't approve of its original name, Boss Nation FC. The team's Too Many Balls marketing campaign, which launched in October, also drew backlash. Team Legacy Officer Amina Bowman says this new name marks the start of a new legacy for the city, and one they hope to earn over time.
In some unfortunate news, a Marlboro man is facing 200 counts of animal cruelty after 96 animals were found on his Sturbridge property. The animals included ducks, geese, rabbits, and pigs. Andrew Sebastiano was arrested by Massachusetts police on March 25th. Police also seized an adult-sized dog from Sebastiano. Information about the dog's current condition has not been released.
Before we take a break, let's hear about this weekend's weather. Is there any chance of sun on the forecast for this weekend, Fiona?
Today, but that's pretty much it, sadly. I know everyone is ready for summer, but we are not quite there yet. Today is looking pretty nice, though. We might get some sun with a high of 58. Unfortunately, it's looking like a good chance of rain most of this weekend, with Saturday as a high of 39 and Sunday a high of 40. It will be chilly at night, with Saturday getting down to 35 and Sunday's low being 39. Don't fret, though. After the rain comes the flowers for that beautiful Boston spring we all know and love. Do you guys get excited for spring?
I'm really excited. My birthday's in spring, even though it's late May, but I love when it starts getting warm out and the flowers start blooming.
Me too. We have our graduation too, which is a little bit before your birthday. It's crazy how fast it's coming, and it's our last few weeks at the desk.
So exciting. Are you guys ready?
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
Definitely.
We're getting ready. We're getting ready. And we're excited for all the warm weather and making all of the nice memories in Boston while it's nice out and not chilly and snowy like it's been
Absolutely.
the past couple months. Well, flowers seem like the least we should get gloomy about this weekend. Let's hope that rain hasn't started already when we come back from this short break.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that the big homie needs help too. That you can't just rebound from everything. I know you've been grinding.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. I wonder why we waited so long. I'm not wondering anymore. Love, your mind. Let's see how far we can go.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Welcome back. In some exciting ComAv news, Boston University Sargent College has partnered with the Middlesex Jail and House of Correction to design a new unit for incarcerated adults. The center, which is already in use, prepares residents ages 55 and older for independent living after imprisonment. Sargent's designed program requires all residents to participate in occupational therapy and a rehabilitation system. Lower beds, rocking chairs, and walk-in showers are just some of the features installed so people can avoid injury. Sargent's Dean Jack Dennerline says he hopes this unit will serve as a model for other correctional facilities.
Now, let's hear from our politics correspondent, Sebastian Stauber, about how BU campaigns are preparing for the upcoming student body elections.
Boston University student government elections are underway, and 2 are facing head-to-head to lead the student body. Suraj Nallur, presidential candidate of EmpowerBU, said their campaign aims to create an inclusive university that adapts to student needs and cultivates spaces for collaboration.
And so we're here to make sure that we're giving students a voice to, and give them a voice and a power to tackle issues they're facing in their daily lives, to make sure that they have the resource that they need to sort of succeed in whatever they want to do, to ultimately, create a vision of BU that resonates with who they are.
Natalie Riley, vice presidential candidate of EmpowerBU, said they will work closely with the administration and President Gilliam to ensure student voices are empowered and heard.
We'll do everything in our power to make sure that the initiatives that we're creating are actionable, that we can make happen because of our experience in student government, so we know what is achievable, what might need more compromise.
On the other side of the ticket, Matthew Feliciano, president of the Bridge to BU slate, said that their team will address strengthening community on campus, implementing outreach initiatives, and platforming marginalized student voices.
We are very much trying to have those person-to-person interactions, and that's what we strive to do, and that's what we focus on in our mission. And I think that's the first step to having better communication and more responsiveness with student government, and making us more accessible and taking that accountability.
Tony Wu, vice president of Bridge to BU, said that their slate will implement several initiatives, such as a student government hotline and a feedback task force, to ensure that the student body feels heard.
Fundamentally, Bridge to BU is not about the 4 candidates that are running. It's not about what we want to do. It's about students. It's about student concerns. It's about the day-to-day issues and concerns that impact all of us here on campus.
Voting period will be from March 31st to April 4th at bu.edu/election/vote or on the BU portal. This is Sebastian Stauber reporting for Good Morning BU.
Thanks, Sebastian. Looks like I have a lot to consider before casting my vote this year. Stick around for some more Terrier news, but this time about the women's lacrosse team after this break.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back. Now, after too much peace and quiet, hype music is finally blasting through Nickerson Field once again. That's right, it's lacrosse season. Let's check in with our sports correspondent, Lily Chapman, on how the women's season is going so far.
Midway through the lacrosse season, the Terriers are uncovering the possibilities that come with new beginnings. With already 2 Patriot League wins down, the Boston University women's lacrosse team is on track to right the wrongs of last season's single victory within the conference.
It's been really helpful for us to even knowing as we're in this conference play, we're playing the same opponents. And that's been something I think that's been really beneficial, knowing that we returned so many players. You can't replicate game experience in any way except for getting that game experience.
Last year, the team's upperclassmen were plagued with injuries, leaving an inexperienced cohort of freshmen struggling to take the reins.
I think my sophomore season, I have so much more confidence and understanding, knowing my role, knowing how all of our units work, and just benefiting from that.
Kendall Sims returned to the field after 2 ACL injuries and emphasized how a healthy roster improved the team's chemistry.
I think confidence is the key for our team this year, being able to handle the pressure no matter who we're playing. Definitely translated to our play on the field, just how close we are as a team. Being able to be there with my teammates and have each other's backs, I know that they have mine, has been pivotal for this team.
And pivotal it was, as the team is now on a 3-game win streak. The Terriers prioritized new strategies, including a challenging zone defense rather than guarding individual players, which requires ample communication and teamwork.
We put in a lot of work over the fall on our zone. Just having the confidence of going over film with one another made us able to cause turnovers.
With less than a month until the Patriot League playoffs, the Terriers hope to maintain their momentum to qualify for the tournament.
I said it to them this morning at practice I saw something that said ships don't sail on yesterday's wins. Similar for us, if it doesn't matter what we've done in the past, doesn't matter what our opponents have done in the past, it's kind of how hard you're willing to work in that practice. I think that that's kind of our big challenge is can we continue to evolve, but more importantly, can we continue to stay hungry through March and April.
The women's lacrosse team right behind me is playing the nationally ranked Navy this Saturday at 12 p.m. where they plan to embody their motto of outwill, outwork, and outcompete. For Good Morning BU, I'm Lily Chapman.
Thanks, Lily. Sounds like the season is looking up. We will channel that good momentum heading into our final break of the show.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Welcome back. Jeff Bezos' space tech company Blue Origin has announced an all-female crew for its upcoming NS-31 mission to launch in the spring. The crew features high-profile names like singer Katy Perry and journalist Gayle King, alongside other high-profile women, including Bezos' partner Laura Sanchez. The company says the mission will be the first all-female flight crew since Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova's solo spaceflight in 1963. The mission's goal is to inspire future generations of young girls by sharing the crew's experiences in space. Now, back on solid ground, one BU student who also happens to be a GMBU writer is preparing to run the Boston Marathon this year. Now, join us to hear Charlie Johnson how he's feeling in this moment in the last month of training.
Thanks, Sydney. Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Sophia, for having me.
Of
happy to be here.
I'm dying to know, so what does this final month of marathon training look like for you?
It's intimidating, but I'm really excited to run in a month, and I'm excited to be cheered on by my friends and family. Just got to keep running as much as I can. So
keep calm. You got 26.2 miles ahead, but we know you can do it. What made you decide, like I said, this super long marathon in the first place? What made you really get into wanting to run this?
I grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, so I've always wanted to run the race, and I also am running for two people in the memory of two people, Mary Jo Gonzalez and my older brother Sam, who passed away before I was born due to a brain tumor. Mary Jo was a great nurse that worked at Mass General Hospital for a long time, helping in the pediatric cancer division. So I'm just trying to run in their memory, especially. So.
I'm so sorry to hear this, but thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Now, exactly, can you tell me a little bit more? Where can we find this? Where can we find the link to donate for your charity?
Yes, so the MGH link will be in my bio, in my Instagram bio. So you can just go to my Instagram and click on the link. And if you can just donate whatever you're capable of donating, it would mean the world. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All you viewers out there, head to his Instagram link as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Charlie, for joining us. We'll be cheering you on all the way, your whole run through.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Back to you, Sydney.
Thanks, Sophia, and thank you, Charlie. And with that, we've reached the finish line for this week of Good Morning BU. From all of us here on the GMBU team, thank you so much for watching. I'm Sydney Toff. Stay safe and have a great weekend.